All right, welcome back. Good morning. So today being the third day of March 2025. Hey, the month is mwaka inasonga mbio sana. Mark, what's happening? I think we are on overdrive in as far as the year is concerned. Just the other day we were celebrating Happy New Year. It's no longer new.
No longer new, Bana. We are almost mid-year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and very soon I think we'll be in Christmas time. I think people are busy. We can't realize what is happening.
Is it us who are busy generally as a country, or it's just things are just unveiling itself pole pole? Dr. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
Are you in tandem with the syllabus? It's so moving so fast.
Sometimes I feel like I'm okay with the syllabus. Sometimes I feel like I divert my attention a bit. I find the syllabus so many chapters ahead of me.
Yes. You need to catch up. All Kenyans, we need to catch up. Good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. We're still waiting for George Kithi, who is an advocate of the High Court, joining me in the next 1 minute. All right, I can see he's already in studio. So, Mark Ndingo is a political analyst, joining me on set, as well as Dr. Evelyn Ogendo, who is a governance and policy expert, joining me on set as well. Today I want us to talk about Politics 101. A lot is happening in the country, and as far as we are concerned, we are now hearing political drumbeats from across the mountains already, high on, being beaten properly. And that is something that we as Kenyans, we consume every single day. And this probably is going to continue until 2027. A lot is in store for Kenyans. Do we really have time for a break? Do we really have time to just relax away from politics? Or is this something that we drink, eat, sleep, dress politics? It's actually becoming part and parcel of our life. So that is today. I want to talk about Politics 101 and how we can make it clean as far as this is all concerned. Remember what happened over the weekend? The back and forth between the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is also still at play. President William Ruto also, all out there. And there is only one gentleman who is on high demand, sitting in between two gentlemen. I'm talking Dr. Evelyn Ogendo, but not you, Dr. I'm talking about Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga sitting pretty in between several players and, how do you call it, political suitors. Who is he going to please? Wakili, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's good to be a suitor anyway.
Oh yes. Who is the highest bidder? At this point, you are now looking for the highest bidder.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Right.
It's a good thing to be in such a space, or at such a space, because obviously it's because you can determine the politics, how it's going. But you're right when you say the political decibels are ringing slightly higher.
Yes.
And they're going to be at highest point towards 2027. It started really early. And I think that there are preceding events that inform the political decibels that are ringing now. Obviously, I think the center can shift from the finance bill that was never signed into law and never made the day until the government, the broad-based government, fast forward to African Union and the events today. What I think the country is waiting for is obviously the masterpiece that Raila Odinga has managed to pull in terms of positioning himself at the focal point upon which he can tilt what will seem to be an equilibrium, which isn't, because you will say that President William Ruto is not sitting pretty, and the opposition are also gleefully waiting for fallout, so that then they can benefit from the Raila Odinga being in their fold. Raila Odinga has been a constant, persistently and consistently in opposition.
Yes. And
he knows how to reorganize the opposition around a certain movement. It is thought that because of the preceding events I have explained, including the Gen Z protest, removing Raila Odinga, who was basically is being seen or analyzed as the person who has brought stability into government, because a lot of the allies that campaigned with President William Ruto, who went into government in whatever capacities and the highest there would be in cabinet, those were removed, and therefore there could be a little bit of political debts that need to be paid and reorganized. So the harvest time for opposition probably is now.
Okay.
But the highest harvest will be if they were able to bring, or for some sheer reorganization or sheer luck or God's grace, whatever they look at it. Because you see, God, if it works in favor of opposition, that Raila Odinga goes to opposition.
All right.
It will be seen as the hand of God. Of course, William Ruto now sees the hand of God because Raila Odinga is on their side.
Hand of God. That was Abedi Pele's famous goal.
Goal, yeah.
Yes, but here to score the goal, God needs to start early to crown you early. In terms of where Raila Odinga goes, it is understood that probably the broad-based government needs to be broader because then Raila Odinga is making his demands even more. And it's a good place, like I've said, it's a good place to be. Kanu tried it with Raila Odinga. It was not broad-based at that time, but it was seen that Kanu had swallowed the tractor at the time. It didn't, because the tractor continued to rumble, and such a time that when it had to come out of Kanu,
yes,
the rumble was big and the fallout was big because the likes of loyalists like George Saitoti, Kalonzo Musyoka, all those Kanu stalwarts then moved into Rainbow Coalition at the time. Is it then a repeat of the same situation where Raila Odinga, in the position he is, can bolt from the inside to the outside with a big chunk of the inside and then joining the outside of the likes of Rigathi Gachagua? And it will be very interesting because the Gen Z is a big movement now that is waiting for whoever will be available for that fallout.
Hold that thought, Wakili. Hold that thought. I want to ask a question. And Dr. Let me give pretty fine. We are talking about the position of Honorable Raila Odinga right now. And you are sitting in between two gentlemen. So you can imagine there is a duel between the two of them, politically speaking. How does it feel that you are the center of focus as a lady and you have got two equal partners? Suitors.
Yes.
All right. How does it feel with reference to now reading Raila Odinga's mind politically?
Ideally, it's not, according to me, it's not a very nice situation because I would say you'd be in a catch-22.
Yes.
You know, there's a way you have lenience to both, and then you are under pressure from your quote-unquote, your supporters. You know, you realize... In
this case, who are your supporters? Your parents,
me
your
and my people, you know, there's what they feel, it's what I truly feel. There's the spirit of the country, if I can just put it on the political side.
Yes.
You know, you are never alone. You are never alone in such a situation. And it's not easy. And what that means, it threatens you a bit to be in a catch-22 in the sense that you may lose both of them. You are at a position of losing grip for both of them, depending on how you're going to make this decision. It is not a walk. It's not a walk in the park. To just take you aback, I think Kenyans, we move on very fast. I don't know whether we pretend to move on very fast. The loss of AU, and then now we are, and then other coalitions are coming in. I don't know how that is happening, and I don't know whether Honorable Raila is able to be making decisions at this point. But I would say, Kenyans, I think we are discussing things that is already a done deal. That's already a done deal. You know, we are just left to talk here. Maybe if there's any MOU, I think it has already taken effect. And it's only waiting for an announcement. And why I always embrace Honorable Raila is because I think he looks way beyond who takes what, where, how. who takes what, where, how. I think he looks as restoring peace more than the decisions that he may make that may favor him or not favor him. Sometimes he makes unpopular decisions, and then later on we come to realize as Kenyans, maybe this is what we need to have peace. You're seeing how other countries, you know, you remember like Congo, how much they have a lot of riots, how much people are losing their lives. And I think Raila, I trust that decisions he makes, they are not bad ones. They may be unpopular sometimes, but he looks at the bigger picture. How much can we be at status quo, in that we are going to have peace in this country? Because at the end of the day, it's not who takes who. You know, politics, I don't think it's fair most of the time, but at the end of the day, are you going to have that seat peacefully? Are you going to have it peacefully?
So what happens in this situation again? I'm trying to give these examples so that we understand pretty fine. Wakili is here, a potential suitor, and Honorable Mark is also a potential suitor. But then now you're afraid of losing both of them. So you are left in a catch-22 situation where if you lose both of them, so you're back to the drawing board. What is running through your mind? Because you have got pressure. Also, timeline is running in, as far as this is concerned, 2027, okay? You have got pressure in terms of your age, in terms of your parents, your peers, and everything in your surrounding. So how will you come out if you lose both of them?
Raila cannot lose both of them. That is a constant. And I think he has already made a decision. It's only that we are supposed to get used to the situation first, then release the verdict. But I don't think it is very easy for him. And the decision may be unpopular. Remember the Nusu Mkate?
Yes.
Even the people at his backyard were threatening, like, no, I don't want to. There's a way he does these things, according to me. There's a way he does these things. And you see, there's a way you fear. You know, sometimes in the beginning, you begin with fear. Then along the way, you get used to these things. Because it's going to be at a point whereby that is the only way he has to do it. And then guess what? He'll still have a following, but he cannot lose on both of them.
Mark,
he's not going to lose on both of them.
What do you think? She's the lady in the middle now.
I think it's a very interesting situation for one to find himself or her in. Because here you are with two suitors who are looking at you, and for you to make a decision, you need to look at one, your interest first, and two, the interest of your family in the case of a suitor. And for Raila, now he has to look at two things. His interest and the interest of his followers. So it's a situation you need to, one, consult widely, and two, you need also to be to be sober on the kind of decision you are going to take, because whether you decide to take any of the two decisions, it's going to have some misgivings to the other side, and it's also going to have some appreciation from the other side. So I think it's a situation whereby you need to look at which decision is going to fit you well, and in a situation like that, I think the most important thing is the interest, the decision you are going to take. It's going to give you, for you and for your followers. Yeah.
You can imagine, what would you look, again, politically speaking, what would you look in her? And how would you convince her over George Wakili?
I think there are two issues here. You need to give her the best offer possible, so that you can win her against the other side, in this case from Wakili. And you also have to look at how whatever you're going to give her is going to be, how it's going to be comfortable with you and her, so that you don't agree on something and then within a short time she finds that whatever you have given her is not what she was expecting. So I think it's a question of having something which is going to be long-lasting, as opposed to having a short-term agreement.
Promises.
Yeah.
How would you handle that, Wakili? Convincing her over Mark, because 2027 is here, and with all the promises, you know, you're promising the same thing. Mark is also promising the same thing, but you really want to win the battle and say, I'm victorious in this, and I've taken Eve home with me.
I think in analysis, you look at symbolism.
Yes.
So when we analyze this, there are a few things that there'll be cut away to inform eventually how you analyze and make probably a conclusion. The first will be, what are the interests of Raila Amolo Odinga? Number two, what is his communication? How does he communicate himself? And what basically are the interests to be served at the time? Now, one is Raila Odinga has not said he doesn't want presidency. The ultimate for him is presidency. So as you analyze that, you look at what position, in terms, if he's in a coalition with President William Ruto and he goes to the opposition, which option gives him presidency? Number one. Number two is, if he goes to the William Ruto side, we need then, he obviously can't occupy presidency.
Yes.
And it can be promised to him at 85, because he's 80 now, or so, after the time for William Ruto determines, it can be promised to him, because then the eventual is that he will be probably 87 or thereabout. Therefore, it means we amend the constitution, as has been proposed, through Parliament, for purposes of consolidating the executive as an expansive executive, so that he can be accommodated into an executive position, meaning Prime Minister. That would probably the foreseeable possibility in terms of missing the presidency, but settling for a position that consolidates power around what will be the executive.
Yes.
If you come to the other side, you would say that because the opposition has no opposition personality, and he will be probably the heir apparent of the opposition personality for purposes of the presidential candidature, it will be in the right place to say, if he comes back to the opposition, he'll reclaim that which has not been filled by anyone, even for this time that he's not been there actively, so that then he can move for the opposition. And probably, as is seen now, and the popularity of government, and that he is the one sustaining, probably with an edge, the government, for now.
Did you say he's sustaining?
Yes, I'll say so, because after the Gen Z, when he came into the broad-based government, it was to stabilize the government, as at that time. As to whether the president has consolidated himself such as he can survive without William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and that William Ruto can survive without Raila Odinga now, is an issue to be seen, but the instability and the shaking will be seen on account of the fact that Raila Odinga's movement to the other side. What I'm trying to say, therefore, is, analytically, therefore, you would say if he moves to opposition, he has bigger chance to become president than if he remained with William Ruto. But it means he loses the possibility of amending the constitution for purposes of occupying the prime minister position. And therefore, if he goes to William Ruto, he may want to resign. The fact that my highest would probably to go back to the prime minister position, which he has occupied before. But the possibility of the highest in the opposition will be to rank himself to the possibility of being president, as opposed to occupying a place of a place of prime.
Let me ask this question. Remember when the last regime, when the Handshake brothers, the then deputy president, now President William Ruto, they campaigned against that handshake and said that handshake did not have the best interests of the country at heart then. And a lot of things did not happen because of the handshake. Are we likely to see such a thing if Honorable Raila Odinga continues to cling to this government, that the same script might just be floated and put on the table? And they said, Kenyans, I wanted to work, But because we had a broad-based government, this is what happened. We were not able to achieve this.
Let me put it this way. Before she comes, so she can pick it up, if she will. There's what we call de jure and de facto. De jure is in law or an act of law. So by law, you can be a leader. By fact, you can be a leader. So you can actually have more popularity than even the president in fact. So you can actually be the president in fact. It's possible. In constitutionalism, the prescription of the constitution would be if you're elected, you're president.
Okay.
But it's possible that you become a leader without the de jure factor, but the de facto factor. So that then, and that's a question of what we call legitimacy. So you can be in law a leader, but in fact, and therefore by fact, someone else could have more influence than you. Legitimacy would be therefore that the people therefore they prescribe your pronouncements with more weight than the prescription of the leader that is in power.
Okay.
So what we're having now is a deputy president, in fact, in Raila Odinga, the way the environment, the equilibrium is forming, will be that the first in time with the president, in fact, but the deputy president, in fact, may not have more influence than what I would call the assistant to the president, the deputy president in law.
Okay.
Would probably have less influence than Raila Odinga, who will then be seen to be deputing the president, in fact.
That's a very interesting way of looking at it. Dr.
Not possible. No. You know, according to me, clearly, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is part of the government. That is, opposition is part of the government as we speak right now. That is the situation we are speaking in. So there is no way out. You know, that's why we do not have... do we have opposition, by the way? I'm not very sure of that. That's to you. Do we have opposition in this country?
No, we don't. In law, we don't.
We don't. We don't have opposition. Here you are, you have ministers in the... There are more coming up as the PS in the government. Are you saying? You are guided by some code of conduct while at it. You know, there's no way out you can say you are inside and then there's a way you are going to speak against your boss. Apparently, when you're working for the government, you have a boss who is a president, and then there's no way out you're going to challenge your boss. Be it politically, be it in any professionally, you're not going to challenge him. Your boss is right. You're not going to compete with your boss. So that is another side, like somebody cannot come up and tell you that we have opposition and we don't have. And that is why His Excellency, what am I calling him, His Excellency, before he becomes, that's how Mheshimiwa Raila, we as Kenyans, our views, the things we disagree with, you know, that's why, you know, there was, I don't know whether you had it going around in social media, some of the people were dancing to his loss. You know, they were actually dancing. Some Kenyans,
some were happy.
Kenyans who were celebrating.
It was a happy dance.
And I do not want to practice any bias, and I do not want to say what I'm saying to look like that is my opinion. I am saying Kenyans are dying to have their views seen as their problems seen as a problem, and somebody else trying to make effort to step in and solve them. Education. Kenyans want real answers to what their prevailing problems are. But now that is not happening. And then we keep on saying opposition. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo, okay, they are trying, but we are used to the touch of Raila. So where is it?
That's the question.
That is what Kenyans want.
Let's take a break. When you come back, where is he? Right?
Yeah.
Or where is the opposition?
I hope I'm not going to forget. So I'm going to stop.
We are three gentlemen. We'll help you to remember.
Oh.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. So, where were you? Three gentlemen. I promised that you're going to remember.
But she remembers. She hasn't confessed that she doesn't.
She was talking about opposition.
No, first I confirm
whether we have opposition.
Yes, go ahead.
And we all unanimously agreed that we do not have opposition in place. Now, I want to step out and be a Kenyan. Kenyans want a Raila who pinpoints things when prices are going high, when we have issues like now, we still have major issues with the health cover, and you see day in Kenyans are dying because they cannot afford the medical services, and you see like the university students had to strike to force these banned things to be held temporarily, which I don't know whether they have been resolved, to be held temporarily for them to be able to continue with the school.
Yeah.
You see, if we had and right now I'm speaking as what most Kenyans feel, because I was trying to support my point why most Kenyans were dancing. Kenyans want somebody who is supporting their views the way Honorable Raila Odinga used to do his stuff. Are you seeing? And when they see him, they get threatened. In fact, Kenyans really don't want his union with the president. In short, they really don't. They feel insecure. They feel like, who else is going to stand up for us? Okay, Honorable Kalonzo is trying, but I think Kenyans for such a long time are already used to Raila. And then other aspects are coming in. You see, you may get some Kenyans are not even having the interest of the two.
Yes.
There is another, you know, that like just to go by the Gen Zs, they are saying they want Dr. Matiang'i to come on board. You see, you know, there are a section of Kenyans who really don't care which decision who makes where.
But with all
they are just looking at, why is 2027 I cast my vote? Right now, Kenyans are just mobilizing themselves, not because of maybe a certain coalition, and there is going to be a time, let me tell you, Kenyans are not going to care about these coalitions. They're not going to care about parties. They're not going to care about anything. So, and I think we are working towards that.
What do they care about?
They're not going to care about which coalition are you. They are going to care about which leader they want. There's going to be a time when they are not going to care what the president or Honorable Raila thinks. At some point, I'm telling you. Because me, I interact with, outside here, you know, you interact with people and hear what they are trying to say. And I would say the situation here in this country right now, we cannot peg it on the president alone, because the president just became president the other day. So there are historical issues that Kenyans are suffering from. But because the president is the current, the person in charge, so they are pegging all the problems on him. I don't think which is the scenario.
I think
we are suffering from historical issues, historical injustices in this country.
But I think Daktari, we already, there's a cliche that, you know, the SHA is not working. We want Raila to, you know, expound on this. We need him to talk on behalf of that, because he's already there is a suit that he wears, opposition.
There's a suit that he has been wearing. Not he wears, he has been wearing.
So that's why he's much needed.
That is unpopular for Kenyans
that's why he's much needed right now.
He is much needed, and then the direction now, the conversation is not to the direction of what the Kenyans expect.
Okay, Mark, to whose advantage?
I think it's, for now we can't know to whose advantage, but I think the most, the person who is going to benefit more in this situation is the president. For one, because Raila has managed to sustain his government right from last year June, when we had the demonstrations, and moving forward, I think he's the one who is going to benefit more if he manages to put Raila in his side. And as things stand now, I think he's almost convincing Raila to be on this side. And one thing I think I'm sure of Raila, the person, is somebody we cannot predict in terms of politics, because he has always stood with the people, with Kenyans. And I don't think Raila this time is going to make that blunder. He may agree to work with the government in a coalition sort of arrangement, whereby he's going to get some non-executive prime minister. But if you listen to what Raila has been saying since he came back from Ethiopia, you'll find that he still has a heart. His heart is still with the people. And I can see a situation whereby they are going to have whether a coalition or a co-presidency with the president. Maybe later in 2026, I can predict Raila voting out of that coalition to vie for the president, because I don't think he can sit back and throw away the goodwill he's getting from the Kenyans. Because as we have said, when he missed the AU chair, some Kenyans were celebrating. And I don't think they were celebrating because he lost. They were celebrating because they wanted him to come back and continue where he left in championing for the rights of Kenyans. So even if the president, that is Ruto, benefits now, I think there will be some interesting times coming next year when we approach the 2027 elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the pulse of the nation? Because all these things put together, then it puts the entire life of Raila Odinga in sharp focus. Because now, it's now ahead 2027.
Yes.
2025 is here, so we are just 2 years away. But time is running so fast, the same way we were making a joke that hii syllabus inakimbia sana, that if you're not so keen on it, then you are going to lose so many things in it. But then the big question someone would ask himself, if he continues to play by the book, whatever he's doing, Kenyans are asking themselves, Baba ako wapi? So where is he going to be? At what point is he going to make a U-turn? The same question I asked him, to whose advantage?
Now, there are two issues that must be looked at. First, through the prism of the president, and the second, the prism of Raila Amolo Odinga. Basically, I think those are two personalities influencing politics now. For the president, he needs a temporary solution for an extended problem. I don't want to call it permanent, but an extended problem. The temporary solution is he needs to survive this term. To survive this term, he needs to be survived by Raila Odinga, sustain his government, then he can deal with the politics of election.
Yes.
Fix IBC and fix the election environment at that time. That he beat Raila Amolo Odinga when he was not in power, he can beat him again, presumably, when he is now in power.
Okay.
So if Raila Odinga can be the tool to fix his situation towards the election, and then fix his situation at that time, so that he wins the election, then so be it. I think that's what he's playing into. Raila wants to use the play card that is done before, where he sustains the government but wrecks it from within, so that when he bolts, he has basically the entire government bolting with him, coming to opposition.
Remember, they know each other pretty fine.
Yes, yes, yes. So I think the president is well alive to that. He would know what Raila is doing where, because then he has tools of reading. First, he has analysts for it, and he has tools of trade such as NIS and other tools that will predict what is going on by way of information available to him. For Raila Odinga, my reading will be this. That which comes from the mouth must have been cooked from the inside, in terms of thought and heart. And therefore, he bespeaks to prepare for the next move. He speaks so that it then forms part of preparation for ground, for the people, probably by way of small doses as to how he approaches the end game. So then if he talks for the people, it can't be pretentious. It's just a constant of where it's headed, number one. Number two, even as he plays politics with probably from the government side, he knows it's temporary, because it can't be that Raila Odinga is the one to betray the president.
Yes.
It is possible that the president betrays also Raila Odinga. The other issue also will be that it can't be that Raila Odinga speaks a certain language of friendship, of brotherhood to the president in support of government. Then his Secretary General in ODM and the people that are not in government in ODM constantly, persistently, insistently, continuously speak in opposition. In fact, they say we are not in government. The party leader, Anyang' Nyong'o, for now, I don't know where he is still the party leader because he is back, speaks a certain language that does not please the government and that will sustain the relationship, the friendly relationship or fraternal relationship between President and Raila Odinga. So it is therefore a design that you play opposition to sustain the popularity of the party. In fact, the party seems to be competing in every position from MCA to the governors, and now including the presidents, because they've never said they're not fielding a presidential candidate. And ODM cannot be fielding a presidential candidate that is not Raila Amolo Odinga. Suffice it to say, therefore, that our reading will be the competition for the presidency in the next general election shall be one William Ruto, and there shall be someone else that will be in the opposition. Yes. And that can only be Raila Amolo Odinga.
What an interesting time to be alive in Kenya and see how this politics is being played. Daktari, an interesting time, based on even the way he's putting it. Because you have opposition who is also in government. Remember when presidents, way back then, when that was in Chatham House, when he said that we had a mongrel, when opposition was in government and government was in opposition. Exactly what we are seeing today. So the more things change, the more they remain the same. Go ahead.
You know, pertinently, the bottom line is, I think the position where Kenyans are right now, me being one of the Kenyans, they really want that person who, they want hope. Kenyans have lost hope.
And by the time when I talk about opposition, I'm talking about the entire Azimio.
The entire Azimio, I think according to me, what's happening right now, it was a first aid. The first aid, you know, there's a time you're forced to make very fast decisions. That is what happened. That is what led to this broad-based. Are you seeing? So before the Gen Z protests, we did not ever think about these broad-based things. We even got its name after it has already in power. Is when we got the name. What the name is the broad-based government. According to me, this is a first aid. Sometimes, you know, first aid, you do it, but this our first aid in this country is taking much longer and taking root. So Kenyans are a bit confused. What is really happening? Because ideally, did we have this in mind that we are going to have the Gen Z protests? Did we? No. But I think Raila looked at it, and so like many Kenyans were going to lose lives. So the situation needed to be contained. You see, from the perspective we look at things, you know, now like me, the way I would look at such political situations, it's different. At my 40 or at my 50 or at my, I'm not, you know, ladies, we don't use our age. At my age, the way I would look at a political situation, it's not the same way Raila could look at a political situation. Yeah. There is what I would, you know, like now look at the Gen Zs. You know, containing them, you must be very strong. You see how they went to express. You know, they have a lot of energy. And this energy, if it cannot be diverted to be positive energy, it can be very destructive. Yes. You remember how they went to a... You know, you imagine even you are not armed, you are not anything, going to parliament and then, you know, getting that permission to get in such a tall order. So here are kids who are getting in, taking rice and deciding their test pads can still test and say, this food does not have salt. It informs you that this is a lot of energy that somebody needs to concentrate on them and make it positive for the better of our country. And I think that's how Raila comes in. Because the way he looks at such situations can be different from many of us as Kenyans. Yeah. So that's why sometimes it may hurt. But at the end game, when you look at the bigger picture, you look at it like, okay, fine. That decision was unpopular. We did not like it. We had all these issues that we wanted you to support us on, to front us on, but this is what you did for the sake of us, for the sake of us. So what I'm trying to say is, we are confused. We are confused. This syllabus moves very fast, and then our opposition is in government. We still have. I wish even in their whatever, in their union, they can just choose, even in that situation, to sort out the major issues that are affecting Kenyans. I think Kenyans will relax. You know, Kenyans will relax and they live a life that they will stop. You know, they are talking of other people.
Don't you think that your confusion, the way you're confused, makes someone so happy out there? I don't know who.
You know, there are people who can drive you into a confusion deliberately.
Right.
And you know, this politics is just about a mind game. It's just a mind game. What do you think about me?
Okay.
It's just a mind game.
Okay.
And then when it's a mind game and other people are hurting, who are Kenyans, it becomes complicated.
Right.
And it adds on to the confusion.
There you go. ODM celebrated 20 years. That's around 2 days ago.
Yeah.
20 years of existence. And many people expected some grand announcement. Again, you know, him to take over the leadership of the party, of which did not happen. He had a very open kind of speech, and then there was a cake cutting, and that was it. So now here we are. That did not happen, Mark. I'll come back to you. That did not happen. He did not make an announcement, but he kept people expecting and say we'll make the right announcement in the near future. Let me put it this way. So how loud can you hear the political drumbeats, you know, behind the hills? How loud are they?
True. ODM, as they managed to stay for 20 years. ODM has always been one of the best and well-managed opposition party in Kenya, having stayed for such a long time. When they had their celebrations, I think something which came out from the celebrations was that they did not give us a much expected announcement. Because given the character of Raila and the opposition caliber in the party, we expected more things than what was talked about. But I would say one thing that has made that announcement not to come this time is I think Ruto has managed to tame Raila in a way, because had we not gotten into this situation whereby the President Ruto and Raila are cooperating, if it were the normal opposition leader Raila used to be, I think we could have gotten very major announcements. But you know, having the celebrations came at a time when there's this talk of him cooperating with the president, and it also comes at a time when Raila is trying to find the way the side is supposed to go. So he had to measure the words, so that he doesn't seem to be diverting people from the coalition with the president and the opposition. But I think not very. It will take less days before we get to know what kind of the announcement he was supposed to make, because I think he only pushed it ahead so that he can, once he finishes consulting the populists, whatever he's going to come out with, whether to support the government, whether to work with the president, I think the major announcement is coming sooner than later. And it was just a matter of delaying the announcement so that he can decide on which side to go. Remember, we have Kenyans who are yearning for Raila's leadership in the opposition. And the other side, we have the president who is also looking for Raila so that they can cooperate. And there are also other players who are looking for Raila. People of the likes of Gachagua, the Gen Zs are also crying for Raila's leadership. So I think he's trying to, the ODM is trying to give it some time so that they can come up with a major agreement. And I think one of those announcements, I think we might get them maybe today or tomorrow, because I understand they're having their management committee meeting today, whereby I'm sure they are going to take a decision on which way they are going to go.
That would be interesting to get to hear. I'm told time is running so fast. And so let me just ask this question. So what's the way forward? There's this gentleman called Badejo Babafemi who said an enigma in Kenya politics in his book. Are we trying to see that right now? Because Kenya's, the way she's put it, Kenyans are confused. Because we are used to that linear kind of politics where there is opposition and there is government. You hit on both ends. But right now, we are not seeing that. As we conclude.
Well, I think Raila Odinga has understood Kenyans. The appetite for politics is very high. They consume politics. And therefore, if you want to manage Kenyans, it's easy to manage them politically, more than the facts on the ground. So he also understands that Kenyans will be reasonable now because we see things with clarity. It becomes hazy, it becomes clouded when politics proper start. The Kenyan voter voting in an election cycle, election period, is an emotionalist person who does not look at the clarity of the issues at hand.
Yeah.
And therefore, that Kenyans fails, having been having been exposed to an emotional environment and reacts to it, as is beginning to happen now, then goes into the little divisions that separate us. We will get tribal, we will get ethnic, we will get the small features that divide our society. Then we will coalesce around tribal lines. That's why you see even now there seems to be a forming block of Mount Kenya that seems to want a place in a bargain of sorts. There seems to be tribal formations within the conclaves and fiefdoms of political parties that seem to be coalescing within then the platform of politics for purposes of quest for power within government. And therefore, what's important now is those tribal formations within the cloud and the hiding of political parties, and then finding a patch, whether within the Kenya Kwanza or the opposition. It will be clear sooner than later where Raila Odinga will go, because the lieutenants will lead the way before he comes in. Ordinarily, where the lieutenants go, stalwarts go, that are supporting Raila Odinga, give more direction than Raila Odinga himself, because he would want to be last. That is politics of survival, because then it means you test the waters using people who you allow ahead of you, and then later, once the situation is readable in terms of the reaction and the possibility of opportunities, and then you move in. And therefore, the circumstances prevailing now will be a test of many options for purposes of forming the final act of political convergence.
All right. I want to treat that as your closing remark. Gentlemen, was that, today we've talked about ODM, is that orange? That color?
The one I'm wearing?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Was it deliberate?
Oh, yes, I felt...
orange-like.
I felt orange.
We are celebrating International Women's Week. We celebrate you.
Thank you.
As gentlemen on the set. What does it really mean to you? As we are in 2025, Kenya is moving on. We've made certain strides. One or two things in 1 minute, if you can.
I wouldn't say that we can be in a giving up situation. Life, the challenges, there are so many. There are highs, there are your lows. At this point, as a country, we could be on our lows, but there could always be that time when we can be on our highs. So I wouldn't like Kenyans to lose any type of hope, because at the end of the day, as long as you coexist, challenges are going to come in that need solutions. At least the first step of solving any issue is when you recognize you have a problem. And we recognize we have a problem, then I think we're on the right track.
Okay, but now, have we made it? 2,000 rule, still a big nut to crack. Gentlemen, we know that the 2,000 rule, it's been there for a very long time, and I don't know. Progress made?
The two-third gender rule, I thank you for asking me. For a long time, I think I gave up at some point and forgot. Our system in this country, here is a parliament which has to pass laws that favor a woman. Here is a parliament, a man is supposed to pass a law that favors me. So how is that going to happen?
Okay.
And then there's still the patriarchal aspect of it. I'm not talking about Kenya, but I think worldwide there's a patriarchal way of attitudes that look down upon a woman in terms of leadership. You know, I would say the system we are using to achieve the 1/3, 2/3 gender rule is not achievable in this.
But at least we're making some progress. Some progress.
You decide, you give us, you decide let women be women reps. You find that I'm a woman rep in 9 constituencies.
Are we not making progress as a country?
We have made progress.
We are, but
1/3, 2/3 gender rule, it's the female speaking. I'm sorry, nothing has worked, nothing is working.
We have made progress.
If anything, we are being oppressed. Look at the aspect of trying to impact, to bring in the female aspect in parliament. You can't tell us you have 47 women reps to go and take care of the gender disparity in parliament. But it makes our situation worse because here we are, we don't have a straight kitty to take care of 9 of constituencies that our governor takes care of.
Thank you.
And then
Up
you
next,
don't give us kitty.
Up next, I have got Harriet Shigai, who is cabinet advisor on women's rights. She's going to be talking about that and much more. She's going to,
No.
Thank you.
We need.
Thank you so much, Dr. Evelyn Ogendo. Asante.
I'm very regret asking me. I had more.
No.
I had more.
George Kithi, advocate of the High Court.
Women need to be in power.
We've made progress.
We've made progress.
And we thank the president. He's really allowed women
so
into
slow,
power.
but
we are
making, we are moving. Yeah.
Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much. And Mark Dingo for joining me on the set. Okay, let's take a break. Good Morning Kenya continues after this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.